The sky of Zeltrix 9 was always red. Clouds of ash floated in the air, and the ground cracked with glowing lines of heat. Nothing lived here. Not anymore, at least. That's what everyone believed. Corporal Ethan Kane walked alone through the fire zone, his boots crunching over black rocks. His helmet beeped. Radiation levels were rising, but still under control. He had done this patrol many times, but today felt different. His scanner blinked. Life form detected. The robotic voice said in his earpiece. Ethan stopped. That couldn't be right. Zeltrix 9 was a dead planet. Long ago, the Zaltrixians had destroyed themselves in a nuclear war. No life had survived. He looked at the scanner again. A weak signal just a few meters ahead. Carefully, he moved forward. A thick smoke cloud passed. Behind it, he saw something. A shape, small, fragile, and moving. It was an old woman. She sat between broken stones. Her thin arms wrapped around her body. Her skin was gray and wrinkled. Her long white hair floated like it had no weight. Her clothes were torn, glowing slightly under the ash. Ethan raised his blaster. "Who are you?" he asked. The woman didn't speak. She just looked at him, her eyes glowing with a soft silver light. Not threatening, but ancient. She pointed to the rocks beside her. Her leg was trapped under a large slab. Ethan hesitated. This had to be a trick, maybe a shapeshifter, or a hallucination from the radiation. But something inside him said no. He dropped his weapon and walked closer. The heat was intense now. He could barely breathe, even through the suit. With effort, he lifted the rock. It felt heavier than anything he had ever moved before. His arms shook, his vision blurred. But finally he got it off. The woman didn't scream. She didn't even wince. She just looked at him and smiled. As soon as he touched her arm to help her stand, his mind exploded with images. He saw stars being born and dying. He saw alien gods fighting in a black sky. He saw a young woman, beautiful, powerful, standing alone in the middle of a battlefield. Then all turned black. Ethan gasped and pulled his hand away. The woman still said nothing, but her eyes, they were inside his head now. "You've touched more than a life," a voice whispered deep in his mind. "You've touched a curse." The woman stood slowly, her weight suddenly gone. She didn't seem weak anymore. Her body floated slightly above the ground. Her eyes glowed brighter now. Ethan stepped back. "What are you?" She smiled again. Her lips didn't move, but the voice came again in his mind. "Thank you for helping me. No one ever did before. You are different." Before he could respond, the air around them changed. The ash stopped moving. The heat faded. The woman lifted her hand. A soft light appeared between her fingers. She placed it on Ethan's chest. It entered him like warm water. He fell to his knees. Then, nothing. When he woke up, he was lying outside the fire zone. His helmet was cracked, but he was alive. No burns, no wounds. The woman was gone. Back at the base, no one believed his story. The scanners showed nothing. The life signal had vanished. But Ethan knew what he had seen, what he had felt that night as he lay in bed. He dreamed of the woman again. But this time, she was not old. She was young, glowing, beautiful. She reached for him. He woke up in sweat. His heart raced. Then he saw it. On his arm, under the skin, a faint glowing symbol had appeared. It was not human, not military. It was something older. Something watching. A soft voice whispered again in his mind. "You saved me. Now I save you from your own fate." Ethan stared at his arm. The symbol pulsed once, like a heartbeat. Something had begun, and it would not stop. Ethan didn't sleep the next night. His eyes stayed open, staring at the ceiling of his small bunk. The glowing symbol on his arm had faded slightly, but was still there, pulsing slowly like a second heartbeat. He kept touching it, trying to convince himself it wasn't real, but every time his fingers brushed it, a strange warmth spread across his body. Not pain, not comfort, just power. The base was quiet. As always, only the hum of old machines and the distant buzz of power. Lines broke the silence, but inside his mind, something else was making noise. It was her voice, not loud, not clear, like a memory he never had, soft whispers, strange words, but somehow he understood them. "We are connected now." He sat up quickly, gasping. "Who are you?" He whispered to the air. No answer came. Just a small flicker of light from the corner of his room gone as soon as he saw it. That morning, when he walked into the med bay for his usual scan, the AI assistant stopped. "You show increased strength and elevated brain activity," it said. "Recommendation, report for deep diagnostic." Ethan nodded. "Maybe later." As he walked out, the door shut harder than usual. He hadn't meant to push it so hard, but it bent slightly under his hand. He looked down at his palm. Was he stronger now? Outside the medical unit, Lieutenant Kara waved to him. "Heard you collapsed during patrol yesterday. Heat stroke." Ethan forced a smile. "Yeah, something like that." She looked at him carefully. "You okay?" "Never better." But he wasn't okay. He didn't know what was happening, and he couldn't stop thinking about her. She had been old, broken, and silent. And yet, now, when she appeared in his dreams, she was young, glowing like a star. Not human, not alien either. Something more. Every time she came to him in sleep, she touched his chest, and he felt a rush like flying through a black hole and coming out the other side. Brighter. The third night, the dream changed. She wasn't alone. Ethan stood in a white desert. Above him, 2 moons circled a giant sun. The woman stood on a stone platform, her long silver hair flowing like smoke. She looked into his eyes. "You helped me. Now I help you. You don't see it yet, but you are broken inside. This world does not know your name. I do." He tried to speak, but his mouth wouldn't move. She walked closer. Her hands touched his face. Her skin felt like light and water. "You were born to fade," she whispered. "But I offer you flame." Suddenly, fire exploded around them. But it didn't burn. It danced, it sang. And inside the flames, Ethan saw his own body, stronger, taller, brighter, not human anymore. Then he woke up, but he didn't feel tired. He felt alive. When he stood in front of the mirror, he barely recognized himself. His eyes had a faint glow. His chest felt heavier, like something inside was growing. His skin had strange, silver lines running through it, thin as hair, but pulsing softly. Later that day, a cargo pod arrived from the main fleet. During unloading, one of the crates fell toward a technician. Ethan didn't think. He moved without warning, faster than he'd ever moved before. His arms caught the crate, over 300 pounds of metal, like it was paper. Everyone stared. No one spoke. That night, Commander Voss called him in. "You're hiding something," the commander said. "You're stronger, quicker. That symbol on your arm, what is it?" "I don't know," Ethan replied honestly. Voss stared. "You found something in the fire zone, didn't you?" Ethan didn't answer. "You need to report this. If you've been infected." "I'm not infected," Ethan said sharply. "I saved someone." Voss leaned forward. "Saved who?" Ethan's voice lowered. "An old woman. She was trapped. I helped her." The commander shook his head. There was no trace of anyone there. No footprints. No signs of life. "Are you sure it was real?" Ethan stood up. "Yes." As he walked out, he felt something shift behind his eyes, like a door opening. That night, he didn't sleep at all. He closed his eyes, and instantly, she was there. This time, she was inside. A garden of stars. Planets grew on vines. Time itself bent around her. She walked barefoot toward him. Her beauty was terrifying. "You are changing," she said. "Your kind has always feared change. But you walked into fire to save me. Now you carry my mark." "Why me?" Ethan asked. "Because you didn't look away." She raised her hand and placed her palm on his chest again. This time, the energy that rushed into him made his body rise off the ground. He screamed, but no one heard. The light filled him, pouring into his bones, into his blood. Then darkness. He awoke on the floor. Floating above him was a glowing shape, her shape fading slowly. "You are now my vessel," she said, "and they will come for you." The lights in his room flickered. His hands shook. The symbol on his arm turned from silver to red. Ethan didn't tell anyone what had happened the night before. He couldn't. No one would believe him. Not even he fully believed it. But the mark on his arm had changed color, and that meant something real was happening. He walked through the base in silence, feeling like a stranger in his own skin. Everything looked the same, but he could sense things he never noticed before. The small electric currents inside the walls, the heartbeat of people in the next room, even the slow ticking of time felt louder. When he passed by a mirror, he paused. His reflection didn't blink. His body had become leaner, sharper. His bones felt lighter. His eyes, once a dull brown, now shimmered with a faint red glow. He blinked again, and this time the reflection moved with him. The air shifted. Her voice returned. "Do not be afraid. You are still you, just more than before." Ethan gripped the sink. "Why are you in my head?" There was no answer, only warmth, like invisible fingers brushing the back of his neck. That night, the dream didn't come immediately. He fought it, stayed awake, drank strong black coffee, did push-ups, walked circles around his room. Still, the moment his eyes closed, she arrived. But this time, it wasn't a dream. He stood inside a black stone room with stars floating around him like slow snowflakes. The air was thick and heavy. He couldn't breathe, and yet he didn't need to. She stood across from him, wearing robes made of light and smoke. Her skin glowed softly, silver and red, and her eyes had no pupils, only burning stars. She smiled. Slowly, "I waited eons for someone to touch me again, and you did." Ethan stepped back. "What are you really?" She circled him like a shadow with no feet touching the ground. "Once, I was worshipped, a Demigoddess, a keeper of suns. But I was betrayed, chained to a dying planet, made to age, to rot, until you came." He stared at her. "Why me?" "Because your heart was open. You didn't see a monster. You saw a woman in need. And that made you mine." She reached out her hand, and he tried to pull away but couldn't. His body didn't move. Her fingers touched his chest again, and fire poured into his veins. This time, the pain was real. He screamed, but no sound came. His mind burned, and then froze. His skin cracked with light. She leaned close to his ear. "Each time you resist, I give you more. Each time you fear me, I come closer." Then darkness. He awoke on the floor of his room, covered in sweat. The sheets were burning at the edges. The lights were out. The air felt electric. He sat up, shaking, and then he saw it. His shadow on the wall was moving, but he was still. He stood slowly, staring at it. The shadow lifted its arm, then the other, but not exactly when he did. It lagged, then smiled. His heart raced. He rushed out of the room and down the hall. The AI assistant greeted him coldly. "Warning, your bio readings are unstable." Ethan ignored it. He entered the base's empty observatory. The stars outside flickered through the wide glass dome. He breathed slowly, then her voice again. "You are becoming what I was." "No," Ethan whispered. "I'm not you. You are me now, a body to carry my return. But I give more than I take." "Take? What are you taking?" She didn't answer with words. Instead, she appeared again, not as a voice, not as a dream, but standing right in front of him. Her body glowed like fire wrapped in silk. Her lips curved gently, her eyes burning with endless time. She walked up to him, close enough to touch. Ethan couldn't move. He wasn't sure if it was fear, or desire, or both. "You feel stronger now?" she asked softly. "Faster, smarter. That is my gift. And what do you want in return?" he asked. She placed her hands on his chest, just a little more each time. Suddenly, his knees buckled. His strength poured out of him like water. His vision blurred. His heart raced to fast, then to slow. He collapsed. She caught him before he hit the floor, holding him like a mother, like a lover, like a god. "You see? A fair exchange." Then everything went dark. When he opened his eyes, he was in the medical bay. The AI beeped softly. "Warning. Subject suffered sudden energy collapse. Muscle density dropped 12%. Unknown symbols detected across spinal region." Ethan groaned. His body ached all over. He felt hollow. A voice came from the speaker. "You are changing. Ethan Kane. They will notice. You cannot hide this forever." He turned his head. His reflection stared back at him in the shiny glass wall. But this time, The reflection blinked and smiled. Ethan didn't recognize himself anymore. His body healed too fast, but felt weaker afterward. His thoughts weren't always his own. Some belonged to her. He tried to avoid mirrors. His reflection always stared too long. The base's senior staff called him in again. 3 people had fallen sick, to collapse during training. 1 died in his sleep. All of them had shared patrol duty with Ethan. Coincidence, he said. But deep inside, he knew better. The mark on his arm had grown. Not just longer, deeper. It wrapped around his shoulder now, almost like it was growing into him. Sometimes it pulsed. Sometimes it burned. One night, while staring at the ceiling in his bunk, her voice came again, but this time she sounded tired. I was not always like this. Ethan closed his eyes. Tell me. The room faded. He didn't move, but suddenly, he was no longer in his bed. He stood in a ruined hall of black crystal. Giant statues of alien beings lined the walls. Their faces were carved with sorrow. Dust floated in the air like stars. She sat on a throne of bones and light. Younger, more powerful, more alone. I was born when the stars were still children, she said. Created to guide civilizations, I gave light. I gave life. But I also took it when needed. Ethan walked closer. What happened? She smiled sadly. They feared what I could become. So they trapped me on Zaltrix 9. They made me age. They made me forget. Until I forgot I was a goddess. He stared at her. And now you remember. Because of you. She stepped down from the throne. Her form shimmered between old and young. Between beautiful and broken. The more she walked, the more unstable her shape became. You gave me your touch, your help, your energy. And through you, I return. Ethan stepped back. You're using me, no. She said softly. I am bound to you, just as much as you are to me. He felt it then. A thread, glowing red, stretched between his chest and hers. It pulsed with each heartbeat. You can't escape me anymore. He woke up gasping. His room smelled like burnt metal. The mark had reached his back now. He took off his shirt, stood in front of the mirror, and saw symbols glowing like fire across his spine. Alien language, moving, shifting, like they were alive. His door buzzed. It was Lieutenant Kara. She stepped inside, saw the markings, and froze. What the hell happened to you? Ethan didn't answer. She reached out to touch the symbol, but it flared bright red. The wall lights flickered. A sharp wind blew through the sealed room. Kara stepped back. What is that thing? I don't know, Ethan whispered. She says she's a goddess. Kara frowned. She? Ethan hesitated, then told her everything. The old woman. The gift, the dreams, the visions, the burning, the strength, the price. Kara didn't laugh. She didn't call him crazy. She looked terrified. You're bonded, she said. She's turning you into something. Into what? I don't know. But it's not human. For a moment, they stood in silence. Then the alarm rang. Red lights flashed across the base. Unauthorized energy signature near the fire zone. The AI voice said, Wormhole activity detected. Ethan and Kara rushed to the observatory. Through the giant glass dome, they saw a crack forming in the sky, like space itself was being torn apart from it. Dark shapes were moving slow, massive, ancient. Is that a fleet? Kara asked. Ethan's chest burned. The thread inside him pulled tighter. They have come, the voice said inside his head. They felt my return. Who are they? He asked aloud. My kind, she whispered. The ones who sealed me away. Outside, the fleet grew larger. Ships shaped like black wings hovered over the clouds. Energy weapons glowed in their bellies. They're going to attack the base, Kara said. They're not here for diplomacy. Ethan knew she was right. He wasn't just carrying the mark of a goddess, he was the beacon. They had followed the signal inside him, and now everyone on this base would die for it. You can stop them, she said. Me, you carry my essence now. Speak my name. Call me. I will stand with you. Ethan looked at his hands. They were shaking. Not from fear but from power. Outside, the sky turned darker. Inside, the lights exploded. The last thing he heard before everything went black was her voice, calm and clear. Let them come. I am ready to burn again. The lights came back, But everything had changed. Ethan stood in the center of the command deck, blinking under the emergency glow. Smoke floated in the air. Sparks fell from the ceiling. Screens flickered in chaos. Officers shouted orders. No. One noticed him at first. Then someone screamed. He looked down. His arms were glowing. Not just the mark. His skin itself now pulsed with faint red veins of energy. His fingertips sparked like wires. His eyes reflected the same color as the growing tear in the sky outside. He turned quickly, hiding his face, but it was too late. Contain him. Someone yelled. To guards rushed forward. Ethan stepped back, hands raised, trying to explain. I'm not the enemy. They didn't listen. One guard fired a stun blast. It hit Ethan in the chest and bounced off. He didn't flinch. The second guard hesitated. Ethan's body moved on its own. One swing of his arm sent both guards flying. Not dead but unconscious. Lights above shattered with the force. Silence followed. All eyes stared at him now. The commander stepped forward slowly. Kane, were you? Ethan shook his head. I don't know. A voice inside him laughed gently. You do. You just won't admit it yet. He turned and ran. Down dark halls, past broken systems and confused crew, through heavy doors, into the lower levels of the base. He needed space. He needed time. He needed to stop whatever was happening to him. Inside an old tech chamber, he collapsed. His breath was sharp. His chest felt like it was full of fire. The red energy in his veins burned hotter with every beat. He slammed his fist into the metal floor. It left a dent. Get out of my head, he growled. Her voice came calmly, like a breeze across his skin. I'm not inside your head. I am part of you now. No, he said. You used me. You chose me. You freed me. And now, we survive together or not at all. He leaned against the wall. I didn't ask for any of this. Neither did I, but we both lost who we were, and now we become something new. Outside, the alien fleet began its descent. Ships moved in silence. No warning, no message, just cold presence. Weapons powered up. The base's defense systems locked on. Sirens rang again. The battle had begun. Ethan knew it was because of him. He stood slowly. His hand reached for his chest. The glowing thread between his body and hers was no longer invisible. It was bright, alive, a literal string of light tying him to something far older than he could understand. He gritted his teeth. I won't let you take over me. No reply. He tried again. I won't become you. This time, her voice was closer. Then fight me. And suddenly, he wasn't in the tech chamber anymore. He stood in a black void. Across from him stood her tall, beautiful, half goddess, half shadow. Her hair moved like flames. Her eyes glowed with galaxies. They were connected by the thread of red light. She raised her hand. A wall of fire came toward him. Ethan screamed, but not in fear, in rage. He threw his hands up. A wave of raw energy blasted out from his palms. The fire bent, twisted, and turned back. The thread between them stretched tight. She laughed, not cruelly, but proudly. You are strong. I'm not yours, he growled. Then stop me. She vanished. He woke up on the floor, gasping, soaked in sweat. The room was shaking. The base had been hit. Explosions echoed from above. He got to his feet and ran again, this time. Not to hide, to help. As he reached the surface, the alien fleet rained energy blasts on the defense shields. Ground crews returned fire. The sky was full of death and light. Ethan stepped outside the airlock. The guards aimed their weapons. He held up his hands. Let me through. They didn't fire. He walked out onto the burning soil, dust swirling around his boots. The air shimmered with heat and smoke. One enemy ship hovered close, preparing to fire again. Ethan raised his hand. Red energy shot from his palm and struck the ship's core. The blast exploded mid-air. Debris flew in all directions. The base went silent. Then shears. He turned slowly. Dozens of crew members stood at the gate, staring at him like he was something both terrifying and divine. He didn't smile. Inside, he still felt hollow. The voice came once more, but it was softer now, weaker. You are changing, but so am I. He closed his eyes. Then maybe we both still have a choice. The sky didn't look like a sky anymore. It looked like a wound torn wide open. Bleeding ships and shadows across the stars. The alien fleet hovered above Zeltrix 9, like vultures over a dying body. Silent and waiting, and still they hadn't fired again. Ethan stood outside the base, alone, surrounded by black smoke and broken stone. His hands still glowed from the blast that had destroyed their lead ship. The ground beneath his feet buzzed with strange energy, his energy, or hers, maybe both now. Behind him, the crew watched from a distance. No one dared come closer. No one spoke, not even Kara. He didn't blame them. He didn't feel human anymore either. A small light danced before his eyes like a firefly made of stardust. It floated slowly, then drifted into his chest and disappeared. She was calling again. He didn't fight it this time. The world around him melted like wax. The sky turned silver. The air vanished. When he blinked, he was somewhere else entirely. He stood at the edge of a massive field of mirrors, thousands, millions. Each one showed a different version of her, old, young, angry, peaceful, alive, dying. She appeared behind him. "You're not afraid anymore," she said. "No," Ethan replied, "but I'm tired." She stepped beside him, barefoot on nothing. Her voice had changed. It was quieter now. Not just powerful, but human. "Do you know what these are?" she asked, pointing to the mirrors. "Versions of you?" She nodded. "Every form I've ever taken. Every life I've touched. Every time I lost a part of myself, until only the old woman was left." He looked at her. "Then why did you need me?" "I didn't just need saving," she said softly. "I needed remembering." Ethan frowned. "You were the first being who didn't want something from me," she continued. "Not worship, not power. You saw me broken and still reached for me. That act brought back something I'd lost a long time ago." "Mercy, no," she whispered. "Hope." He turned to face her fully now. "Then why are your people here? Why are they attacking?" "They fear what I've become, or what I might become if I fully return." "And will you?" he asked. "Will you return as a goddess or as a weapon?" She didn't answer right away. Her eyes, those glowing endless eyes, seemed to dim. "I don't know," she said finally. "That's what scares them. And me." Ethan looked down at his hands. Red energy still glowed faintly beneath his skin. "You changed me, and I can undo it," she said quickly. "I can pull myself out of you. You'll live, maybe weaker, maybe normal, but free." "And what about you?" She smiled sadly. "I'll fade again, slowly, quietly, alone." Silence stretched between them. He thought of the crew, of Kara, of the people who stared at him like he was a stranger. He thought of the symbol growing across his body, and the power in his blood that didn't feel like his. He also thought of her, how she had once been more than a god, and how now she was asking permission. "No," he said. She blinked. "No," she repeated. "You don't get to disappear. Not yet." She stepped closer, unsure. "You said I gave you hope," Ethan said. "Then prove it. Let them see who you really are. Not through dreams, not through fire, but by standing beside me. They won't understand, maybe, but they need to see you trying." She looked up at him, searching his face for a lie. There was none. And for the first time, her expression cracked, not with power, but with peace. She raised her hand and the mirrors shattered all at once. Ethan opened his eyes. He was back on Zeltrix 9, but not alone. She stood beside him now, in the flesh. Not old, not glowing, just real, solid, barefoot on the cracked earth, wearing a dress made of folded stars. Her hair danced like it remembered gravity again. The crew gasped. Some fell to their knees. The alien fleet above paused mid-air, their weapons held, waiting. She looked up at them, then spoke, not with her voice, but through the air itself. "I am not what I was. I will not be feared anymore." Her words echoed through the sky. The ships above began to glow, but not with weapons. Instead, light pulsed between them, slow and steady like a heartbeat. The energy thread between Ethan and her faded. She turned to him. "You are free." But Ethan shook his head. "I'm not going anywhere." She smiled, not like a goddess, but like someone grateful. Then, far above, the lead ship opened. A figure stepped out, floating toward the ground in silence, cloaked in light and armor. Another one like her. Another Demigod. Ethan and the woman watched as it landed, its face hidden under a mask. The silence broke only with 3 simple words: "This is not over." The one who stepped from the ship was not like her. Taller, colder, a face covered by gold armor, eyes hidden behind black glass, no light in his voice, no warmth in his presence. He didn't walk, he glided. The very ground beneath him cracked. In silence, Ethan stood between them. The woman at his side was calm, but her body tensed. She did not bow, she did not speak. The thread between them had faded, but something deeper still connected their hearts. The golden figure raised one hand. "You were warned," he said. "You were locked away for a reason." "I remember," she replied softly, "and I still disagree." "You've infected another host," the figure said, his voice like breaking stone. "And now you risk everything." "He is not a host," she said. "He is a choice." Ethan stepped forward. "You talk like I'm not here." The figure looked down at him. "You are not. You are borrowed breath. When she fades, so will you." Ethan clenched his fists. "Then let's find out." The golden figure raised both arms. From the skies above, streaks of energy fell like spears. The air around them tore open. Wind howled. Dust spun into the air like fire. But Ethan didn't fall back. He stepped into the storm. Red light flared from within him, wild, raw, burning. Not borrowed, not stolen. Evolved. He didn't know where the strength came from. Only that it wasn't hers anymore. It was his, and it was enough. The spears never touched him. Each one dissolved as it neared his body, melting into dust, as if the world itself had changed its mind. The golden one stared. "You shouldn't be able to do that." "Maybe," Ethan said, walking closer. "But I can." The Demigoddess behind him watched, her eyes shining. "He was never mine to control. That's why you fear him." The golden one fired again, this time with force that split the ground in two. But Ethan didn't stop. His body was cracked with light now. His veins burned gold and red. His steps left prints of molten rock behind him, and still, he moved forward. "You don't belong here." The golden one growled. Ethan raised his hand. "I do now." With one final blast of light, he reached the armored god. Their energies collided, silver against red, ancient against new. For 1 second, the entire sky went black. Then it shattered. A wave of raw energy spread across the surface of Zeltrix 9. The ships above cracked and fell, not as debris, but as light dissolving back into the stars. Silence fell. Ethan collapsed to his knees. His skin dimmed. His breath shook. The golden one stood still, cracked down the center of his armor, smoke rising from the break. Then he vanished into dust, torn apart by the very force he tried to suppress. It was over. Almost. The woman walked toward Ethan. Her face was soft, her voice even softer. "You chose me once. Then you chose yourself. And now," he looked up at her. "Now what?" "Now you choose what remains." She held out her hand. Inside her palm glowed a tiny orb of light, flickering, delicate. The last of her energy, her true self. No power, no throne, just memory and spirit. "If I give this to you," she said, "I will fade forever." He stared at it. "What happens to me?" "You'll survive, not as a god, not as a weapon, but as a bridge between what was and what could be." He looked out across the silent field. The broken ships, the scorched earth, the faces watching from afar. The war was over. But a wound like this would take time to heal. He took the light from her hand. It didn't burn. It felt like a goodbye. Her body flickered. Her smile didn't fade. "Thank you, Ethan Kane." She vanished, not in a flash, not in a storm, but like the end of a breath. Quiet, gentle, at peace. Ethan stood alone. The thread between them was gone. No marks remained on his body. No glow. No visions. Just a man in the dust, holding nothing and everything. Days passed. The base was rebuilt. The fleet never returned. And Ethan stayed. He didn't speak much. He didn't lead. But he was present. The people followed him, not out of fear, but out of something older than fear. Respect. They called him the bridge. He never corrected them. And somewhere, far from the base, where the stars shined brighter and the silence was deeper, a child was born. The child had no father, no mother anyone knew. But when the baby opened its eyes, they glowed faint red, like a whisper of starlight. On the child's wrist, a small, familiar mark pulsed once, then faded.